Please continue to enjoy your breakfast, but we are going to get started. My name is Jessie Dean, and I have the honor of welcoming you all to the 40th Annual Citizen of the Year Holiday Breakfast, sponsored by the Greenfield Reporter. Thank you so much for braving the elements and joining us this morning. As you might expect, we're going to do quite a bit of clapping throughout this breakfast. So let's get those hands warmed up and give ourselves a round of applause. It's dark, it's raining, it's snowing, but we made it. Congratulations to us. I promise we're going to make it worth the effort. This breakfast has always been one of my favorite events of the year to attend, and that's not just because it's incredibly inspiring, which it is, but also because the food is ridiculously good. So for that, we'd like to thank Mike McCarthy and the Deerfield Academy Dining team for such a delicious breakfast. Of course, our appreciation also goes to Deerfield Academy Head of School, Dr. John Austin, Chief Financial Officer Matt Sheehy, Events Manager Tessa Doubleday, and the Deerfield Police Department for their support of this event year after year. Thank you. Now, for those of you who attend chamber breakfasts more regularly, you know that this is the part of the program where typically I do new member welcomes, I make a few announcements, I make a lot more really bad jokes. But because we have so much celebrating to get to this morning, we're going to skip most of that and go straight to the bad jokes. See, just kidding. We're going to stick with the welcomes today, so please join me in welcoming the following special guests. We're lucky to be joined this morning by Senator Joe Comerford, current state representative and former Franklin County Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Natalie Blay is with us today. Toby Gardner-Levine is here representing Congressman McGovern's office. Congressman McGovern is in Washington. District Attorney Dave Sullivan is here, as is Greenfield Mayor Roxanne Wiedegardner. Welcome to Deerfield Selectman Trevor McDaniel. Greenfield Community College Dr. Michelle Shute is here. And then, of course, a very, very special welcome back to Springfield Regional Chamber President and former Executive Director of the Franklin County Chamber of Commerce, Diana Zine. We're also joined this morning by, I think a record number of previous Franklin County Citizen of the Year honorees. So please join me in welcoming 1999 Citizen of the Year, John Carey, 2002 Citizen, Adelia Bardwell, 2007 Reverend Stan Exemet, 2008, Amy Clark. 2014, Marie Petula. And 2020, Sue Samariski. And then, of course, last year's honoree, Carolyn Shores-Ness. And of course, we'd like to extend a warm welcome to all those attending their first chamber breakfast today. We are truly delighted to have you here. And since we do, and you're a captive audience, let me just remind you that we actually have this much fun every month, and that you're all invited to our January 27th breakfast at UCC. At this point, there's no snow, rain in the forecast for that one, so please use the QR code in your program to sign up for our newsletter so that you can continue to be more involved in the chamber. So as many of you know, this is the first year that I've had the opportunity to help plan this event. And what I didn't realize as an attendee is that the chamber and the reporter prepare for this event without really knowing who we're preparing it for. It's kind of like a surprise party where the guest of honor is a surprise even to you. But even so, this year's award winner we knew would be someone remarkable. In a community that is so rich with kind and caring citizens, it is a tough job to choose just one. And I am so grateful that name tags and seating charts fall to the chamber and that the selection falls to the recorder, because that's truly the most difficult part of this breakfast. But what a great problem to have, right? That said, they nailed it. We could not be more thrilled with this year's honoree. And before I invite Dan up to announce our 2022 Citizen of the Year, I'd like to thank the recorder for their sponsorship of this event. I have really enjoyed working with Dan and Stephanie over the last few weeks. But I will tell you, I will not miss the self-imposed, soul-crushing pressure that comes with corresponding with two newspaper editors. I have never proofread my emails more closely than I have over the past few weeks. Dan, if you were wondering why I was so quick to call you, now we know. So now I'd like to invite up Dan Crowley, who is the editor of the Greenfield Reporter, the Daily Hampshire Gazette, and the Athol Daily News, to introduce our truly incredible 2022 Franklin County Citizen of the Year.
Thank you. Thank you, Jesse. Well, if you read the newspaper today, the cat's out of the bag. But for those of you who didn't, I'll keep you in a little bit of suspense. I'd like to thank the Chamber, Deerfield Academy for hosting this event, and to everyone who's taken the time to be here this morning and help celebrate our Citizen of the Year, and the fact that we can be here in person for the second consecutive year. A little background, this is the 40th year of the Recorder's Citizen of the Year, an award that honors someone who's made a significant contribution to the Franklin County community. It's an honor that has our readers and residents at its core, as it is they who nominate people and tell us why someone is deserving of this honor. Remarkably, this year, we had a record number of nominees. In our 40th year, 40 different people were nominated, and several of them receiving multiple nominations. There were educators and environmental advocates, people who volunteer selflessly to serve veterans, seniors, children, people with disabilities. There were business owners, government officials, healthcare workers, a police officer, a mom, and even a photojournalist. Looked at together, this year's nominees represented an amazing group of people doing incredible work. At one point near the end of this process that Jesse said was so challenging, I remember someone on our editorial board saying, can't we just have 3 of these awards? It would make our lives a lot easier. At the end of the day, the person who emerged from the pack, someone whose work in food justice and community building is making a profound impact in Franklin County for more than a decade, and most recently at a time when many people and families are having to make difficult economic decisions. I had to learn a little bit about our nominee this year because we hadn't met, which is a good thing. It tells you something about the process that we have. She began baking at age 2. She was cooking Indian meals at around 6. And she reportedly was using kitchen knives before the age of 8. A self-taught chef, a retired educator, she has helped build what has become an institution in the basement of All Souls Church in Main and Hope Street in Greenfield. A place where meals from every part of the world, apart from Antarctica, I learned, are served and delivered weekly to hundreds of community residents and their families. More than 100 meals every Saturday, more than 500 a week, more than 26,000 a year. Meals that are prepared with what the staff there will eagerly tell you are made with great care and served with dignity. I had the opportunity to interview our Citizen of the Year earlier this week, and we did so next to the biggest pile of lemon zest I'd ever seen. It was an interview that was briefly interrupted when she had to help assemble a commercial food mixer in another room. Within only about 10 minutes, I quickly found that I was talking to someone who is not just passionate about her work, but also someone who is driven to connect with people and help make the community we live in a better place, regardless of their place in society. Earlier this year, she traveled to Washington with others in the area. Senator Comerford was there, I believe, and joined Congressman Jim McGovern, who put out a call to help end hunger in the nation by 2030. At the White House Conference on Food, Nutrition, and Health. It was a summit that welcomed anti-hunger and healthcare stakeholders across the country. It was the first conference of its kind since the Nixon era in 1969. Also this year, she helped launch a culinary institute, a 12-week program during which students receive training and practice in the fundamentals of cooking, along with safe food handling and serving practices. I'd like to share some of the comments our Citizen of the Year received this year, with multiple people nominating her. Community building, it's what she does. I can't think of a more worthy person for this honor, especially in our perilous times of pandemic, inflation, and the need for food justice. She is part of the solution. Another, she offers a little ray of hope to the lives of so many people due to her big heart and clear, determined vision to make the world a better place right here in Greenfield. From a volunteer, she motivated me to want to know more. She's like that. She's very good at acknowledging everyone and treating everyone with the same level of respect and integrity, no matter their position in society. For myself, it just makes me want to do better. And finally, through her work, she is fostering a vision and set of values that is transformative and in the best interest of everyone in our community. That is what is at the heart of this award. And it's my honor to present the Greenfield Reporter's 2022 Citizen of the Year Award to Kirsten Levin. Executive Director of the Greenfield Academy. I'm not going to let Kirsten let you have it on Stone Soup.
Wow. I am totally honored and humbled by this award. Hearing from Dan 2 weeks ago, it made me realize that this is a siren call to continue on the path that has been sounding in my soul since birth. And I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. First, I just want to share my gratitude to Dan and staff at the Greenfield Reporter, to Jessie Dean and her staff at the Chamber, and thank you so much for sponsoring this annual recognition, because you provide an opportunity through this tradition to allow our community to recognize and nominate everyday people who are doing extraordinary work for all of our benefit. I extend my deep gratitude and appreciation to the other 39 nominees for all of the work that they're doing to make our world a better place. and especially our nice light of heaven. To those who nominated me, thank you for seeing, validating, and valuing who I am and what I do. I'm so grateful to have a reason to invite my son to come for an extra visit, to have a great meal at Hope and Olive over drinks and have a private little secret. Like we were like, yay, clink, clink, it's a big secret, wink, wink. And to be able to have him and my husband David here this morning to bear witness. It's just a marvelous reason to have more special time with my beloveds. To my Stone Soup family, staff, board members, culinary graduates, consultants, and beloved community members, I could not do what I do without you. You give me purpose. You give me strength when I have none. You carry me when I'm falling down. You lift me up. You are my heart. You make my dreams come true every day, even on the hard days. You make my dreams come true. To those of you who have partnered with myself or Stone Soup Cafe to create change, to solve problems, to show up as our best selves, to embrace and care for our beloved community, thank you for your trust, collaboration, creativity, and perseverance. We have come far, and we have a bit more to go. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you in this room to create that change and make the world that we want to be in a reality. Now back to that passion in my spirit since my birth. I'm going to share some really personal things with you. And I'm doing it because I heard a few little quotes about how I'm a community builder, and when I heard I received this award, I was kind of like knocked back, like, wait, I'm just being me. I'm just doing what I think I need to do. And it really took some soul searching to figure out why. And if I don't tell you about my past, then you won't understand why my present is the way it is. I was born in New York City to an opera singer mother and a professional actor-singer father. My childhood was full of amazing and wonderful experiences, like growing up backstage on Broadway, opera houses, you name it, museums, finding Micah in the nice and schist rocks at Fort Tryon Park or Central Park, learning all about the architecture and history of New York, growing up with the pride of being a New Yorker, getting an amazing, excellent public education. But there's so much I could tell you about how amazing and wonderful my childhood was, except it was also awful and horrible. And I think you need to know that. And here's why, or I'll tell you why at the end, maybe. My parents separated when I was 7 years old. They both struggled financially. We were always poor. We were always the poor relations that when we went to see our aunts and uncles who all had regular jobs and weren't working in the arts and had houses in the country and cars and all of these other things, we were the kids that showed up who needed emergency dentist appointments, hairbrushes, toothbrushes, haircuts, bathing suits, clothing, and a whole lot more love than they even realized. And luckily, we got that. My mother went on welfare. My sister and I went to JCA camps on scholarship. We went to dance classes on scholarship. We went to singing and acting lessons on scholarship. My mother figured out ways to beg, borrow, and steal any way she could. But it also came with a lot of other consequences. We bought our groceries on credit from Max's grocery store. He wrote down the amounts in the book. Sometimes we were refused the credit and we had to walk away without the groceries. My mother was late paying the bill. The lights and gas were turned off for non-payment. The co-op board treated us children differently if my mother had been late with the rent. And quite frankly, being a child of divorce in the 70s in New York City was something that was an anathema in the middle class. So almost all of my childhood years were spent in the stigma and shame of poverty, of broken home, and the anxiety, stress, and abuse that comes with that. And yet there were amazing lessons to be learned. And if you read the story this morning, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell it again, because it tells you who my family was and it tells you what I was taught. When I was a little girl and my parents were separated, fighting about the divorce, my father worked as an actor, often a starving actor, or a taxi driver. And he would sit, and he lived in a cold water flat in Hell's Kitchen, where the bathroom was a shared bathroom in the hallway. And when we got to visit, he would have saved all of his nickels and pennies and dimes and quarters so that we could have a special outing. Now that special outing usually followed something like a play reading at the church of the performers, or going to the Met on the free day, or going to the Museum of Natural History, or visiting a sick friend who we loved, and then there was going to be something special. No kidding, 8 out of 10 times, while we were walking to wherever we were going, Schrafft's or Zum's, or even the carousel at Central Park, we would encounter a person who was unhoused and living on the street. Parenthetically, we called those people bums. That was the language back in the day. And the person on the street would say, "Could you spare some change?" And my sister and I always knew it was coming. My father would say, "No, brother, I don't have change for you, but want to come with us? I'll buy you a cup of coffee." Or if he had enough money, "I'll buy you a sandwich." And we would sit with an unhoused person in a place, and our special ice cream money would go into their belly. It's a powerful lesson. One where my father had conversations with us about not being upset that we didn't have our treat, because we had given that person more sustenance and more good than a quarter or a dollar could have given them in real, actual money. My father was fascinated by people. He wanted to know about them. He wanted to know where they came from. And I watched him make friends with strangers and talk to them with so much ease. I was always astounded. He set forth this path of being curious and being generous for me. My mother was the hostess with the mostest. When they were married, they would have big parties at the holidays and everybody would come in. That story about me being a baker at 2, I literally was 25 or 26 months old, standing on a stool next to my mother, cutting out sugar cookies for the holiday party. When I wasn't up helping her cook or bake, I was rattling around in the cabinet, banging on pots and pans. My most favorite status at the holiday party was always at the sink, because the dishwasher is the most beloved. And if you haven't met our most beloved dishwasher, Lisa, here she is. Even though I was trained as a dancer and a singer and thought that I would go into acting, I was most comfortable at that sink. I was most comfortable making the people around me happy. And that's true today. It's still true. I'll tell you a little more hard stuff about me before I tell you about the beloved hard work that I do. So when I was in high school, I lived with my father, and I was having a hard time. And the lights got cut off there too. And I made a decision to drop out of high school and go to work full time. I left my dreams of being an opera singer right there on the floor at Music and Art High School. That's that fame school. Yeah, I went there. And I dropped out there. Just before I turned 18, I moved out of my father's house because I thought I could have better control over my life, and I moved into shared living experience. I worked full-time as a bookkeeper assistant doing accounts payable. And I met a man, and he encouraged me to take my GED because he asked me to read a passage from Shakespeare. And when I read eloquently and fluidly with expression and humor or character, he said, "Oh my God, you're not stupid." And I never, ever, ever equated dropping out of school with stupid. But yet there was another piece of stigma. So I took my GED, and then I took the test for CCNY, and I actually won a full gold scholarship to any of the 5 CCNY. I could have gone to Baruch or Hunter or any of those, and I didn't. I wanted to go to Fordham, where that guy that I met, he went there. Because when you're young, you kind of like want to stick around with the guy that you're in love with, and it would be fun, right? So I fought my way into Fordham, and I did really great my first year, and then in my second year, I realized that I just wasn't having as much fun. It wasn't doing for me what I felt it needed to do for me, and so I dropped out of college. I got invited to move to Ohio, and I found out I was pregnant all in the same week. And I decided to keep that baby. There he is. And I moved 500 miles away from my home to a place where I knew nobody, and I became a single parent. That's where when I got to Ohio and I was alone, that's where I learned to build my own family. Where I learned how valuable and powerful community can be. I learned that through the friendships that I formed at work that then led me to join a UU church in Ohio. And then all of a sudden I was cooking for conferences, holding holiday parties for all of us singletons who had no family to go to. Oh, doing so many things. And I realized I could build a family of choice. And that I could let in anybody into my family. And that I could give deep loving, committed, trusting relationships to them. I didn't really know what boundaries were then. I've learned just a little bit. Some people you need to have a little more of a distance. Others you let right in. When I moved to Greenfield in 1999, I knew where to find community, right? I had been in UU in Ohio. And I went right to All Souls Church. And I rebuilt my family of choice. With one small exception, I had a beloved aunt and uncle who lived in Shelburne, and they were the reason why I found Greenfield, Massachusetts. They saved my life when I was in my early 30s by telling me I had done it alone as a single parent, scraping and struggling for 10 years, and they were going to support my college career and my life so that I could be a parent and a student and nothing else. Essentially, these amazing, benevolent relatives of mine gave me a second chance on life. So when I came to the Pioneer Valley, I came for a graduation party because the high school dropout now had 3 letters behind her name, BSE. And I came looking for a job in the Valley as a teacher. And I wanted to rebuild that community. And guess what? Once again, the holiday parties happened at my house every Christmas Eve. And all of my friends and fellow church members and colleagues and relations came to my house and decorated the tree, and I made the ham, and all of my beloveds started to become my family again, and my family of choice grew. I'm going to tell you about something I learned in my 20s. I learned about radical hospitality in my 20s. Did any of you learn about radical hospitality? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. And it resonated so deeply with me that I realize now that this is what my parents practiced. They practiced regardless of what they had. It didn't matter if you didn't have enough food for 20, tell everybody to bring something. It didn't matter if you didn't have a common connection, reach out with curiosity and make a connection. What mattered was that connection was happening and community was being built. Radical hospitality is a way of building relationships, welcoming the stranger into your life and making these deep connections that last longer than you will ever know. I can tell you, as the nominee this year, hearing some of the things that were said about me, radical hospitality provided that to me. Because I gave something to you which was easy. Love and kindness and welcoming and curiosity. And you gave to me something that I didn't know I gave you. Some echo or legacy. Radical hospitality is a way that you can get to be who you are, to your truest self. And it's a way of practicing compassion, empathy, kindness, curiosity, and welcoming that engenders belonging. So, when Bernie Glassman approached All Souls Church, I saw him in that spirit of radical hospitality. In reality, the impact of his work on my life is why we're here today. Bernie didn't know he was doing that when we met 12 years ago. Bernie doesn't know he's been passed on for 4 years now. He doesn't know that I bring his name up over and over and over again as my teacher. I never studied Zen Buddhism. I watched this human and how he navigated the world and the conversations when he was at the cafe. I watched him quiet when I was explosive. I watched him say, it's okay. When I was like, it's not okay. It's okay. It's kind of like that movie, Shakespeare in Love. And the pencil keeps saying, it's a mystery, but it all works out in the end. It was Bernie. It's okay. Stone Soup Cafe has become the nexus of my life's work. It provides me with an opportunity to be of service, and that is my life's work. I figured it out. It doesn't matter which skill or talent I use. My life's work is to be of service, to be a conduit for us, to be a better version of ourselves today than we were yesterday. I get to practice radical hospitality every day, and I'm a better person because of Stone Soup Cafe. I'm using our 3 tenets, opening myself up and letting go of fixed ideas, bearing witness to the joy and suffering in the world, and moving into loving action that heals myself and others. I try to do the impossible task of following our 4 agreements, being impeccable with my word, taking nothing personally, that's a hard one, making no assumptions even harder, and always doing my best, which seems to be the easiest of them for me. These guides invite me to learn and grow and be a better version of myself every day. And let me tell you about growth, and I know I go on. Not much more, I promise. In 2019, the Stone Soup Board fearlessly or fearfully, depending on the day or the person, passed a budget of $125,000. It included my accepting a salary for the first time in almost 9 years of being of service, because I was retiring from school teaching, a very noble profession, one that I loved and enjoyed until I realized I had a higher purpose. I retired just in time for a pandemic. And thank goodness I did, because I was fully available to provide what was needed for us to continue. I called Roxanne about a week before the shutdown happened. And I said, Roxanne, if we're stuck in a shelter in place and the state shuts down, I need to understand, are you gonna have me stopped from going to work? I needed to know if Stone Soup Cafe was gonna keep on. And she said, well, according to me, you're an essential service. Thank you, Roxanne. That support, just saying you are an essential service, helped me understand where our place was in our community. Prior to that, we had been doing 150 to 200 meals a week, sit-down dine-in service. We knew we had to turn on a dime. The minute the shelter-in-place happened, 25 stakeholders convened and made the decision to stay open. It was a fearless decision. We had no understanding of what we were going to go through, including the fact that in the first year of the pandemic, we spent $250,000 feeding our community and paying our staff. And in the second year of the pandemic, we spent $375,000, and we opened, in the first year of the pandemic, we opened a community free store. So not only were we doing meals, but we were also doing emergency food pantry. In this last year, when we were able, by the grace of a grant, to open my dream, the Culinary Institute, our budget soared over $600,000. For a person who only did bookkeeping and accounting, you can imagine that going from that beginning to this eventuality has been mind-boggling. But I like a challenge. And so do all my Stone 2 friends. We don't shirk. We're ready to grow. We're poised. And we're gonna, right? We're learning. We became our own. Can you believe Stone Soup Cafe was under the fiscal sponsorship of All Souls Church for 9 years? We've only been our own 501c3 for 14 months. And we're learning hard. And any of you who want to help us, you're invited. As a matter of fact, let me stop there and say, you're invited. If you haven't been to the cafe, I expect to see you really soon. Sign up to volunteer. Support us through your business benevolence. Share generously of your time, talent, and treasure with your community, because your community will pay you back in ways that you will never be able to measure. Get invested with us. We are going to create real change. We went from being a Greenfield business to a Franklin County business. We share our resources with an abundance mindset to almost all of the county. More than 2/3 of the county receives delivered meals from us. Come see what it takes to make 500 meals, and I don't mean opening a can of beefaroni. What does it mean to make carrots for 500? By the way, carrots is only one of 6 or 7 menu items that happen. What does it mean to serve your community with dignity and give them restaurant quality food? What does it mean to provide true healthy nutrition and caring? You can come down to the cafe and find those things out for yourself. So, my life experience is one of trauma, abuse, poverty, challenges, and stigmas, and lots of shame. And if you take nothing else away from this, you're not stupid if you drop out of high school, and you're not a lesser person if you don't have enough food to eat, or if you have to make really hard choices. In reality, all of these experiences have given me the opportunity of learning and expressing the way I want our community to look, because I don't want people to have to live with what I lived with. Let me leave you with my 3 most famous quotes. Every ingredient counts, especially you. All of you who are invested in our community, who have businesses here, who do charitable work, who network with one another. You all bring us flavor to the pot, and if it wasn't in the pot, the soup wouldn't taste the same. This work is hard, but it's my heart work, and it brings me so much joy and satisfaction. So it's okay to do hard work, especially when it's your heart work. And folks, there is no them and us, or us and them. There isn't. That's a construct that is a lie. There is only us. There is only us. And if I could say it one more time, friends, there's only us. Thank you so much for this award. It is my extreme honor to have been able to have your ears this morning.
If you've met Kirsten, you know how deeply she deserves this award. Kirsten's leadership is trademarked by her compassion, charisma, and her ability to break down barriers and build community. She also cooks sometimes. As a business owner, listening to Kirsten, I think about how hard it is right now for so many of us to find paid employees to fill Friday night and Saturday shifts. And the fact that Kirsten has helped create an environment where 80 to 100 volunteers come in every week really speaks to her leadership and also to the unbelievable commitment of our Stone Soup Cafe volunteers. So thank you. When the weather forecast looked a little less than ideal for this event, and we were strategizing how to handle it, Marion and I thought, well, you know, at least we know that Kirsten and the Stone Soup Cafe crew will be there regardless, because that's what they do. They show up. It doesn't matter if it's a snowstorm or a pandemic, you can always count on Kirsten and the Stone Soup Cafe team to come through when you need them most. And so many in our community do. I had the honor of working next to Stone Soup for the last 10 years, and I am just so proud that I get to live and work in a community that has a Kirsten Levitt and a Stone Soup Cafe. We have our entire chamber network. Thank you for your undying commitment to making Franklin County a place where everyone is welcomed, fed, and treated with dignity and respect. Thank you. And of course, we have a few more folks that would like to say congratulations. So next, I'd like to invite up all of our legislators. So Senator Joe Comerford, Natalie Blay, Cody Gardner-Levine, if you all just want to come up. Mayor Roxanne. We have a few special recognitions. Oh, they've all volunteered. And Joe and Natalie are coming tonight, fun fact.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kobe, and I work for Congressman Jim McGovern, who couldn't be here with us this morning, but Kirsten, on his behalf, I'd like to say congratulations. I just wanted to say that I've had the pleasure to get to know Kirsten over the past several years, and you can't listen to Kirsten speak without hearing just how much she cares about this community and helping people in this community, and that she never stops fighting to improve the lives of as many people as she possibly can. Kirsten, I know that your remarks this morning inspired me to want to share more honestly and do so in a way that changes people's lives as you have done. And so I want to thank you for that. On a personal note, I've also loved seeing you every year at Monty's March, literally walking the walk. For anyone who doesn't know, that's a 43-mile march, starts in Springfield, ends in Greenfield. Kirsten is there each and every year. So again, Kirsten, on behalf of the Congressman and myself, I want to say that this award here today celebrates something that I think many of us in this room already knew, and certainly all of us know now, which is that you have devoted so much to our community, and you're never going to stop fighting for the people of Western Massachusetts. So once again, congratulations and thank you, Kirsten.
Kept trying to fight with the legislators, but I'm just not going to do that. Doesn't get me anywhere, so I'm here first. So, whereas hunger and poverty are issues of great concern in the United States, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Franklin County, and the city of Greenfield. And whereas Kirsten Levitt is committed to working diligently to alleviate food insecurity in our community, And whereas, since 2012, while also working as a second grade teacher, Kirsten Levitt volunteered to take over the planning, preparation, and serving of hundreds, I think thousands by now, of pay what you can healthy meals every Saturday at the Stone Soup Cafe in Greenfield's All Souls Unitarian Church. And whereas Kirsten Levitt and her team of dedicated volunteers at Stone Soup Cafe prior to COVID-19 worked every weekend to provide a safe, relaxed space for people to gather on Saturday to receive a meal made from the freshest food available while getting to know their neighbors. And whereas during the worst of the pandemic, Kirsten Levitt, her staff, and countless volunteers ensured that the Stone Soup Cafe would still provide what hunger relief services, vital hunger relief services, to our most vulnerable neighbors under very difficult circumstances. Now, therefore, I, Roxanne Wiedegartner, Mayor of the City of Greenfield, do hereby proclaim the weekend of December 16th through the 18th, 2022, to be Kirsten Levitt Weekend. And urge all the citizens of Greenfield and Franklin County to take a moment to thank this extraordinary woman. I'll just keep standing. I don't know how much more I can take before I start falling.
So, friends, I just want to tell a story of Kirsten in Washington, D.C. So, thanks to the prophetic Jim McGovern, we had this White House conference on hunger. And I show up with many folks from around the state, and there's Kirsten. And Kirsten is showing it up. She's talking to people, what are you doing in your state? Hey, we're doing this in Massachusetts. What are you, but not only that, when we got home, and this is the part that I think is truly Kirsten calls and says, what are we doing in Massachusetts? So we now have thrown down a gauntlet, thanks to Congressman McGovern, that we're going to end hunger in the United States by 2030. By 2030, thanks to Jim McGovern. But in Kirsten Levitt's eyes, ending hunger is not enough, because you have to end hunger, you have to tackle diet-related disease by serving nutritious meals with dignity and grace. Food is medicine. Food can transform us. And because we're here in Western Massachusetts, we have to do that by loving our farmers, by strengthening our food system, because without our farmers and our food system, ending hunger and tackling diet-related disease is impossible. So here in Western Massachusetts, we're going to do it a little bit differently, and Kirsten is leading the way. So we're going to start by organizing all of us, Natalie, Mindy, and stop. But Kirsten is calling us to act, and that's the kind of force multiplier that you've brought to Stone Soup. And that's the kind of force multiplier that you're now bringing to Massachusetts. So I have a Senate citation. It's sort of boring, but I just want to say that it's not a weekend. I can't top you, Mayor. This is like impossible. But I just want to say that Senate President Karen Spilka joins me in thanking you, Kirsten, for your prophetic work for food justice. Thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna have to keep standing. So I first met you not in the kitchen.
No, yeah, you can tell that story.
I met Kirsten in the classroom. And I will never forget the moment that I met you, because not only were you teaching these young people how to be incredible human beings, we also had the opportunity to talk about food. and the importance that it brings to a student's life as they are trying to learn, and how critically important it is to have a full belly, to have a full plate. And to run into you then at Stone Soup as I was volunteering was really a full circle moment, and it goes to show you how dedicated you have been to our entire community, whether you're a young person or an older person or anywhere in between. And as you mentioned, we will be there this afternoon. I want to echo the call to service. There is nothing more special about this community than how much we give. And Kirsten's call to action is so critically important. I encourage you all to show up at Stone Soup or any other nonprofit of your choice in the area. But at Stone Soup, you do learn to chop a little better, hold your knife a little safer, and understand what it means to chop jalapenos, a lot of them, or any other vegetable that you never knew existed ever before. And it is such a fulfilling experience. Please volunteer. Please be there for Stone Soup. Be there for Kirsten. Be there for the Stone Soup family. And I want to thank you all for inviting us all in to serve our community. And Kirsten, I am here today on behalf of the House of Representatives to also offer our sincere thanks and congratulations on being the 22 Recorder Citizen of the Year from the Speaker, Ron Mariano, and the House of Representatives.
And if she didn't have enough to carry, we don't want her to go home even more empty-handed. So Wade Bassett, who is our board vice chair and the Yankee Candle Village manager, is here to present Kirsten with a special gift.
So I know this is not about me, but I'm leaving this meeting today and doing everything I can to figure out how to weekend named after Wade Bassett. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Kirsten, you and your team have done some incredible things for our community. You should be very proud about that. You're incredible representatives of our entire community. So I know that these people over here are pretty cool. I'm here to present you pretty much the coolest gift in the world. Yankee Candle Village gift basket, right from the center of the universe. There.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't want you to go home empty-handed either. So on your table, you'll notice a blank greeting card. These cards are photographed and created by Jerry Levine of Leiden, and they highlight a Franklin County landmark from all 26 of our beautiful communities. Our hope is that you will use this card to carry out the sense of community and inspiration that we all feel right now, and write an appreciation note or an acknowledgement to the Kirsten Levitt in your life. So it could be actual Kirsten Levitt. There are no rules. But we do hope that you take this opportunity to tell someone why they are your Citizen of the Year. And I'll give you a quick example. I'm planning to give my card to none other than Miss Marion Noga. This is the Chamber's 40th holiday breakfast, but this is Marion's 41st year working at the Chamber. And as we've all gotten to experience, Marion offers her one-of-a-kind optimism, wit, and wisdom to everyone who's lucky enough to meet her. And it's truly been my honor to work for her, because I do. And I know Lisa and Diana and Natalie all agree. I can tell you that Marion will not be giving her card to me because she still has not forgiven me for making her star in a boomerang last week. But Marion, thank you. Lisa, thank you. And thank you for all that you do all year long. Thank you also to our wonderful board of directors, to Greenfield Community Television, and to our hardworking elves, Peg Salner and Mary Johnson, for their help in pulling together this breakfast. Which was made all